everybody, and welcome into Blue Jays Today, folks, where today we got the Blue Jays Today show, and since the World Series is kicking off, we are that much closer to free agency, to the offseason, to what Toronto Blue Jays fans have been waiting for a while. I mean, like, the postseason has been fun and all of that, and I am going to be excited to watch the World Series, but from a fan standpoint, for our team, none of this matters until we make it into November, until we can actually start signing some free agents, making some trades, and hopefully making this ball club better. We have a long list of players that the Toronto Blue Jays have very recently been linked to. This is all coming from an article from The Athletic, who, for the most part, I would say is pretty reputable. Like, I appreciate their take on things, and they have a long list of all the different free agents, and some of the big names that the Toronto Blue Jays are linked to would absolutely help this ball club. So we're going to get into that and more. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog.
I'm your host, Adam Peddle. Welcome in, everybody, on this, I guess it's early Halloween, but this spooky Friday. You know, everyone have a great and safe, happy Halloween this weekend. Yeah, I mean, guys, I've been waiting ever so patiently. And if you guys are OGs on this channel, you've been watching all the content, you know that we are desperately trying to find any sort of like reputable news and reputable sources going on right here. But right now it is completely dead. So what can we do to kind of bridge that gap over to the real deal in the next couple weeks? Well, we got to talk about some guys that, yes, like Jim Bowden from The Athletic, we got to talk about what he thinks certain free agents are more likely, what teams they're more likely to go to. So in this article, we actually don't have The Athletic. I think we got to like up our subscription or something. They're starting to charge all the fans, you know what I mean?
They make some great content, but I think it's like
of course.
$10 a month or something like that at this point.
No, thank you. And look, again, reputable and very close to the action, right? Very close to the teams and have lots of sources, but I like guys like Jay's Journal who take that article and they translate it for those who don't have the money for it. So shout out to James Journal and Edward for creating this breakdown of what Jim was saying. So in this article, basically, he goes and talks about all the different free agents. I think it was like 40 free agents. And he talks about the possible landing spots for each free agent. So not the one that he thinks for sure is going to happen, but the general top 3 or 4 guys, right? So we're going to go through and look at every single player that the Toronto Blue Jays were mentioned to go and be a probable favorite for.
Yeah, 100%, right? Like, we do need to be clear that, like, we're not going to sign every one of these players, but these are, I would say, that the suspects that you can anticipate Blue Jays being linked to as the offseason progresses, and the players that, you know, we would wager a bet that that could come to Toronto. So let's kick things off right now with one of the first names that he brings up right here. Carlos Estevez, pitcher, righty,
bullpen guy,
saver,
or closer,
pretty solid, 2.45 ERA. This was one of the players that he was listing off that the Toronto Blue Jays should be a top candidate for, and I got to agree with him.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of my sneaky guys. We made a bullpen video breakdown of looking at the top 5 bullpen guys. This guy wasn't on in terms of F-WAR, but I think this guy is very solid. I mean, you look at the whip, right, in the total of 2024, it's 0.909. That's obviously solid. ERA is obviously a great complimentary piece. But he's also got saving experience, and that's what we're kind of looking for when we are having question marks about Jordan Romano going into 2025 with regards to his health and regards to his performance abilities. So having someone with that experience, you know, that's very clutch. And he doesn't have to be your closer, but he obviously is probably looking for a ball club where he can get some closing experience. So I think that we're going to be around that conversation for Carlos Estevez. Absolutely 100%. This is probably actually the most likely guy out of this entire list because of how available a lot of these bullpen guys are.
Yeah, there is quite a few bullpen pieces that are going to be on the free agency market, and you know the Toronto Blue Jays should be in the conversation for almost all of them. But somebody who is 31 years old, turning 32, for a bullpen guy, that's still really solid, you know? Like, typically, like, they can go into their late 30s. I mean, we're watching Kenley Jansen do it right now. Yeah. He is still somebody that I'd be very interested in signing. From a contract standpoint, for a Carlos Estevez, yeah, you're paying a little bit, but you're getting a quality arm in that pen. It's going to be something like $14-15 million a year, which does seem to be the going rate these days for somebody who's pitched over 50 innings and has a ERA in the mid-2s. Like, if you have all those things, you're getting $15 million as a bullpen guy. That's just the going rate these days, which is crazy because they are so volatile.
Yeah.
But this is the price that you got to pay if you want to shore up the back end of our staff.
Yeah, like he's only been ever getting better ever since coming into the league. So that's obviously a great sign that he can hopefully continue that. This is obviously his best season ever, so you are paying a little bit of a high price for him. So I could imagine the Jays kind of capping themselves with someone kind of like Carlos Estevez, where, you know, he did just break out right here in 2024. 2024. So maybe they are going to be a little cautious. We'll see, though. But this is definitely a name that I would be looking at for this free agency. Also, I do want to give a quick shout out to everybody saying Disa J, peace, y'all. I've missed you guys. Shout out to Disa. What's up, boys? Saying Miami. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. It's good to have everybody come back as the postseason rolls on here.
Yeah, 100%. Also in the chat, let us know who do you have down below. Game 1, World Series, Dodgers, Yankees. We'll give you our picks at the end of all of this. Let's move on and talk about another name that I really wasn't thinking of at all, but he threw out there linking us to Brandon Lowe of the Tampa Bay Rays. I always forget, is it Lowe or Lowe?
Actually, they do have it right here. The pronunciation rhymes with now. Lowe.
Oh, there you go. All right. Brandon Lowe, everybody. He had a
That's so funny.
783 OPS this past season, and he has been very solid for the Tampa Bay Rays ever since coming up. As you can see, the career numbers across the board are pretty good. The slug is high.
Yep.
The guy hits bombs. This is somebody that I would be very interested in just slotting in to the middle part of that lineup, maybe a little protection for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., maybe put him 4th, maybe put him 5th, something like that, because at any given moment, this could be a 850 OPS guy for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the one thing about Brandon Lowe, yes, I got it right that time. I wanted to say Lowe. I've been calling him Lowe my entire life. Brandon Lowe, apparently his market value is $20 million, and that is if the Tampa Bay Rays decide to actually opt out, get out of the club option.
Yeah.
Which is $10.5 million, and most of us go, $10.5 million? Well, why would you ever get out of that, you know, when this guy is an OPS plus over 100? Well, it's the Tampa Bay Rays. And I mean, I'm really curious. I don't know how much it's going to affect them, but I'm really curious about the whole stadium situation, whether that's really going to affect their whole season. And,
of course it is.
You know, because someone like Brandon Lowe, $10.5 million, maybe they could use that money and repair the stadium and go relocate a little bit for next year.
Like at the end of the day, like Brandon Lowe means a lot to this ball club, but what means more is actually having a place to play baseball. Like that's just how it works. So if they actually need that $10.5 million to repair their stadium, like I do feel for you. That's just getting shit. But you know how the Tampa Bay Rays like to cheap out in terms of the money. So $10.5 million should be a smash for any team. But if they decide to hold on and you know kind of penny pinch a little bit, then he will hit that free agency market and for Brandon Lowe's standpoint, he would love to do that because he is going to get paid a decent chunk of change. They're projecting a 4-year, $80 million contract. Honestly, that seems kind of right to me.
Yeah, this is the first time like Spot Rock's right, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I think that's like right around the value. You know, you are getting a very quality player, and again, like it's a shitload of money, but the going rate for somebody who will year in, year out be an above average bat for you, give you an OPS plus higher than 100 in his best season ever, could be pushing 35, 40 home runs. Like this is that price tag. So I would be 100% down for it because I believe in him. But I mean, you gotta you really gotta start wondering about the budget if you go out for guys like this.
And I'm also wondering about money well spent too, because $20 million is a decent amount of money, and there's a few other guys I think I'd rather get for $20 million, because with Brandon Lowe, the thing is this guy has not been very healthy in the last. Honestly, the last 3 years. 65 games in 2022, 109 in 2023, 107 in 2024. That's been his big problem. He had the 39 home run season when he played 149 games, but then he just was never able to stay on the field and stay healthy. And, it did affect his numbers quite a little bit, right? I mean, that is quite a bit of drop-off when you look at from 19 to 21 and then 22 to 24. So that, for me, is a big concern. So for me, if I was to run this team, I think Lowe would be on the plan C, plan D option. I'm looking at other guys first.
Well, and I guess it also too depends a lot on the contract. maybe if this is the, I guess the word on the street, maybe
Right.
4 years, $80 million isn't what
too
people
much.
are willing to give him, right? Because
Yeah.
maybe the injuries are really concerning to a bunch of other different ball clubs. And if that's the case, I don't want to say that this is somebody that needs to sign a prove-it deal, because at the end of the day, he still has played over 100 games in back-to-back seasons and has been very productive in that period of time. But maybe rather than a prove-it deal, maybe it's a 2-year type thing.
Right.
And in that
With
regard,
a player option or a club
sure,
option.
you
or
know,
something.
and then I start thinking a bit more about it if I'm the Toronto Blue Jays.
Mm-hmm.
I think really, like, for me, we are in a spot where bring in healthy bodies that can actually hit the baseball
Yes.
hard. And if Brandon Lowe is a healthy body, then bring him in, because beggars can't be choosers where we're at right now.
That's
anyway.
fair. Again, I wouldn't be disappointed at all to bring in Brandon Lowe, but we'll see how the market kind of plays out, because there could be some other guys on this list that we're actually going to get to.
I guess let me put it this way then. Like, would you be more interested in spending, let's say it is a $20 million a year deal for Lowe? Let's say rather than 4 years, let's go 3 years. Because 4 years is definitely questionable. Let's say 3 years, $20 million a year, kind of like a Chris Bassett contract.
Right.
Or like a, whatever Alex Bregman ends up getting paid, like close to $30 million a year for like 5 years. Like, what would you be more willing to do?
Sorry, how much say would Alex Bregman
Well,
get?
I think Spot Rack is saying Alex Bregman gets paid $30 million, I believe.
That's
is what
great.
they're pushing.
Yeah,
for
I think
him.
they were. That's wild.
And I think that they were giving him like a 5 or 6 year deal
Right.
for that. So you're let's say $150 million for Alex Bregman over the course of 5-6 years.
I think again, for me, it all depends on what the are we doing with Vladdy? That's where it always comes back to, right, guys? Because if we extend Vladdy, like, give me Alex Bregman, right? Because like that's kind of a nice core that we've just created. But if we're not extending Vladdy, well, and we're trying to rebuild, or if we're opening up the door, or well, what if we have to rebuild? I don't want to be stuck with an Alex Bregman. Then give me a Brandon Lowe,
right?
Which again, that's why it's so effing important that we get this Vladdy deal done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, actually, and so many other people have come out and talked about this as well. I think I saw somebody, I forget who it was, but like a very it was like Ben Nicholson-Smith or like
was it Keegan?
Maybe it was Keegan.
We're talking about the importance of signing Vladdy.
Yeah.
It was Keegan.
You know what? I think it was Keegan Matheson. You're absolutely right. Keegan Matheson came out and spoke about just how they have to get this done now, right?
That's what I'm saying.
That you make it into the season, like all leverage goes away. And as much as I appreciate Vladdy's commitment to this team, and like honestly, like, he's going above and beyond, I think, in terms of like talking about how committed he is to the organization. Like, you're not seeing that with Juan Soto right now, and honestly, that's within Juan Soto's right. Like, it would be totally reasonable for Guerrero to go, oh, you know what, I think I'm going to test free agency, see how much I get paid.
Right.
The fact that he's coming out and saying how much he wants to be here, like, that's just a credit to him and how much he loves this team. But every passing day and every additional home run that he will hit next year, or extra base hit, or RBI, or what have you, that's another kind of like mark in his head that goes, oh shit, man, like, maybe I could get generational wealth and go play on the New York Mets, a team that is going to build around me for decades to come, whatever it is.
I know. The closer you get to free agency, the more he smells it, and for him, he has every right to go about it. Guys, I actually have a video coming out tomorrow talking more about this and going into the whole idea of, because we're seeing a lot of trade speculation. Obviously, it's not factual, and they're not actually these GMs talking to each other right now. At least we don't know about it. But there's a lot of trade speculation going on around Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Mock trades popping up. But it's because everyone else in the MLB could see it. Like, the Blue Jays are they're like a dying deer right now, and there's blood in the water, and these other MLB teams want to go pick off from our carcass and get Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
They're circling, man. Like, there's sharks in the
water.
And they're looking at us and they're hungry, So it is one of those situations where if you don't deal with it immediately, you are gonna run into more problems. And with all of these free agents as well, like, we do keep coming back to the fact that having Guerrero or not having Guerrero is very important, because not just from a budgetary standpoint, but from a plan standpoint as well. I will say, though, that regardless of what they decide to do, I think I would still be interested in getting this next player, Gleyber Torres. Now, this is a name that I really wasn't thinking about a whole lot, but after hearing about it in this article and looking at the numbers and just thinking about our team as a whole, Torres wouldn't be a bad get for us.
Not at all. I mean, yeah, he had a little bit of a down year in terms of the OPS, 709 this season. Played every game, though. He played a lot of second base, primarily second base. And I guess you can make an argument like, well, we already have so many Gleyber Torreses in the lineup. Well, this is insurance. And he could also play a little bit of shortstop if he really wanted to. If we're looking over at that Bo Bichette situation, maybe this might be a little bit of a Band-Aid, kind of like an IKF, but a little bit more talented with the bat kind of player, right?
You would hope so, right?
Right, where you can give you the upside where maybe he hits in the 750, upper 700 OPS kind of mark. And what's crazy is the dude's 27.
Right.
Like, he came into league so young, so he's entering free agency at a really good time. He'll be going into his age 28 season, and I completely disagree with Spot Rack saying he's only going to cost $7 million per year.
Right.
Like, that is really far off, like 3 years, $20 million. I don't think so. I think some people are going to probably value him a bit higher. I could see him getting in the low teen kind of area per year.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm cool with that as again, it's not a need for us to go out and get this type of player because we have so many, but it would be just like another IKF kind of deal.
Well,
and we got some production there.
I also feel too like this isn't the type of signing that's going to completely change the franchise or anything like that. And there is a lot of risk involved in this. Like Gleyber Torres has had some bad seasons before.
Yeah.
Like there's been some years where it's like, what the hell are you doing? And I know Yankee fans have been like up and down on this guy quite a bit. Like there'll be seasons where they're all in on Torres, and then other times where it's like, dude, like, get this player off of my ball team. So I fully appreciate
that
there
Yankee
is
fan thing.
Yeah, it is. They even do that. They'll boo Aaron Judge if he's not hitting home runs in a 2-week span or something. But so I fully appreciate that there is risk involved here. But I feel like where the Toronto Blue Jays are at right now, I mean, getting some players with high upside that still leaves you money in the bank to go out and get more players. That might be the motive here. Like I look at Torres and I think to myself a little bit like a Marcus Semien-esque. Like when we brought in Marcus Semien, he had some incredible years and he also had some flop years. And it just turned out that we got him on a year that like he really popped off.
Right.
I'm not saying that Torres is going to do that, but there is a high ceiling there as well as a low floor, and I would be willing to pay for that high ceiling and take that risk, roll the dice.
His ceiling is definitely a lot lower than Simeon's. Simeon's has 40 home run upside.
Well, he got close to 40 one year, did he not?
39?
39, something like that. I mean, like, he's had a very good, it was a long time ago.
38, yeah.
38 home runs.
Yeah, ever since then, 24, 25, 15. So, like, I feel like, I don't know what the hell happened that season. That could have been one of those years where it's like, we don't know how to figure you out, and now we've kind of figured you out a little bit. But regardless, yeah, you're right. Like, maybe he does have a resurgence, and then maybe he wants to get, like, a bigger payday. Maybe he signs, like, a 1 or 2 year deal, and we kind of Band-Aid him along, which would make sense for the Toronto Blue Jays.
And that would make sense for him as well, because you are only 27 years old.
Yeah.
So let's say you did sign a 1 or 2 year deal to try to figure your shit out again. You have a pop-off year. Then you walk into free agency at age 28, 29, and you can get yourself another nice payday. So for him, I think that makes sense. And regardless for the Toronto Blue Jays, whether you do have Guerrero, you don't have Guerrero, you're in next year, you're not in next year, signing somebody on a 1 year deal with upside or a 2 year deal with upside is great, because if the upside hits, well, you can hold on to them and you can just play them, or you can trade them away if you are going to be a settler and you can get some type of profit for that as well. So Torres, to me, feels like somebody that would actually be achievable for us to get, because I know a lot of people in here are like, we're these top free agents, they're not going to come here.
This one actually
not really
could.
A top free agent.
Yeah, exactly. This one could actually come here for sure, and would be very worth it. There's a lot of different options with a Gleyber Torres. Let's move on. Let's talk about maybe somebody over on the third base position. Now, unfortunately, he didn't link us with Alex Bregman or anything like that, but he did link us with Eugenio Suarez. And Suarez, again, kind of different than, Gleyber Torres. He has had some up and down years for sure, but there's always been one thing that's very consistent with Suarez, is that he mashes home runs.
Yeah.
He's always been a home run masher, but he also strikes out a ton. However, Suarez is actually not too bad defensively. I was kind of shocked to find this out. Like, he's actually like a decent defender. He can lock down the corner. And last year, he's kind of starting to find his way into his age 32 season. We'll be going to age 33, where last year he had a 788 OPS, hit 30 home runs, 101 RBIs. This is a classic middle of the order type of dude that you can slot in to protect Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And I wasn't even thinking about Suarez until he brought him up in this article.
Okay, hold up. Am I seeing this? This is kind of off topic, but kind of on topic as well. I gotta look to make sure I'm looking at this properly right now. There was a season where this guy hit 49 home runs.
Yes, in 2019.
And finished MVP 15.
Yep.
What the fuck? Why were you not higher?
I don't know.
49 home runs is a lot of home runs.
Well, let's see. Who got a higher voting than him that year? So he was 15th. He was tied with a lot of dudes. Juan Soto was good. What was his OPS plot or OPS this year? Let's see. Where is he? Here he is. 930. Okay, well, there was Cody Bellinger, there was Christian Yelich.
Sure, yeah, like they could win, but like MVP 15 feels absolutely disrespectful for somebody who had the almost the second most home runs.
Maybe Cincinnati hate. There was also there was a ton of good talent that year, to be fair. So
either way,
he's an MVP. He was a former MVP candidate.
Off topic there, a little disrespect to Suarez, but the guy always does hit a crap load of home runs. I'll tell you right now, folks, he started off last year horrendously. I remember this. He started off horrendously, and then in the second half of the year, he went nuclear, and I know this because I picked him up on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
I don't even know the numbers to back it up, but I'm sure that this is the case.
You're right. Yeah. Wow.
Horrendous beginning, incredible second half. I picked him up like around the middle part of the year when he started going crazy. And then after that, it was like, oh my God, this guy is like, a top 10 player in baseball. Like from then onwards, basically, he was so good. So, if you believe that if that is something that he can continue with, then I absolutely think that the Toronto Blue Jays should be in on him. But I know that his contract situation is a little bit up in the air right now. Yeah,
that's because he's got a club option. And if I'm the Arizona Diamondbacks, I'm not too familiar with their whole payroll situation and their money situation. But he's only going to cost you $15 million. So we just hyped ourselves up for nothing, guys, because if I'm the Diamondbacks and I've got $50 million, I am taking this guy. Then for the upside that he brings you, I'll take that.
Yeah, so that one all comes down to the fact that like we need the Arizona Diamondbacks to kind of fumble it and just let him walk.
Yeah.
And then also too, I guess you always got to come back to this, right? Like there's going to be people that are interested in Eugenio Suarez. Like if you can sign somebody that could give you 30 home runs at age like 33, 34 type thing. And, just sign me a 1 or 2 year deal. Like, that feels like you're going to have a lot of suitors, like even a lot of the competitive teams as well.
Oh, 100%.
So
everyone needs a third baseman.
This is always going to be a factor for the Toronto Blue Jays and something that I know a lot of people are coming in and saying, like, guys, be realistic. Like, we're not going to be competitive. Why would the free agents want to come here? That's always going to be
We're so mean to ourselves, guys.
Yeah. Well, and listen, like, that's always going to be a thing. But, like, we're operating under the assumption, and maybe this is stupid of us, but we're kind of riding with what it is that Ross and Mark had to say. They're at least going to attempt to be competitive next year and attempt to sign these guys. You are right, though. I don't know if they're going to come here. You got to convince them in some capacity as to why they should come to the Toronto Blue Jays.
You never know, right? And that's why this whole thing is about possible landing spots. We don't know the human being. We just know the stats, the numbers, the position, and the money. Like that's all we know. But
the one human being I do know is Guerrero, who actually does want to come here, which is why it's so frustrating that he's not signed
right. Exactly.
Which
right.
is so stupid because he's the one guy that has come out and said, I do want to be here long term. Give me my money, and we are good.
Yeah.
And they refuse to do that.
So that's why, guys, we talk about multiple free agents. And again, we're not getting them all. This happens every year. We're not dumb. Like we know this happens every year. We're just going to talk about all the options because if you're a GM, you have to talk about all the options, which is also so blasphemous to when you look back at the whole Ohtani thing and they didn't have a pivot after Ohtani. I know that Chris Bassett came out and like corrected his words. I think someone told him to do that. That's just my personal opinion. Someone told him to come out and correct your words. No, it wasn't that they had no pivot. It was that there was nobody like Ohtani after, which, yes, that is true. But you have to have plan B, plan C, plan D if you don't get Ohtani. Why didn't we have a plan C, plan D, plan F,
It's possible that they did. They just didn't execute properly.
True.
Don't know. But either way, there is a lot of different avenues that they can go down this free agency. Suarez being one of them if he does decide to, or if the club, decides to opt out. Let's move on and talk about somebody that I feel like in the entirety of our channel that we've done this, We have talked about this guy
Yeah.
maybe more than
Yeah.
any other player.
Want to hear something crazy? Okay, so this is a little behind the scenes stuff. So I make all these thumbnails for the Blue Jay, like all the shows and stuff. So I collect every single photo because you never know when you want to reuse a photo. I have 27 photos of this guy in my hard drive
That's
right now.
insane, actually.
Because of how much we've talked about him from year in and year out. Like, I was like, what? How do I have 27 photos of Cody Bellinger in my hard drive? So, yes, Cody Bellinger is on the Cubs, but I want to say this right away. Obviously, we know how good Cody Bellinger is. And, you know, the numbers, he was decent this year. 266 batting average, OPS 751, OPS plus of 111. Like, good. Home runs were down. Good. But here's the thing. I don't think he's going to opt out, and that's what's in his contract right now in 2025, because he'll get paid $27.5 million. That's
a lot of money.
No one's going to pay him $27.5 million, in my opinion, if he opts out.
I guess, like, the question that he needs to ask is...
can I get more money over a longer term?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
And then also too, right? But then you got to factor in for him. Well, you're gonna make what, 55 million? That's what it works out to, about
right.
55 million is,
right.
Or 52 and a half, excuse me,
yeah.
$million in the next 2 years, and then you still have an opportunity to sign after that. You know, do you think that you're gonna get more signing after that as well than the contract that you would get now? I don't know. It's you know, he's got to factor all that in, and I guess work with his agent to figure it out. $27.5 million though does feel like a lot to pass up on when it's like guaranteed in the bank. I know I'm gonna have $50 million for the next 2 years of my life type thing. Like I would love it if he wants to opt out, because I still like Bellinger, and I know he's coming off a bit of a down year, but it does feel like that's somebody that the Toronto Blue Jays would really appreciate, because the defense is always solid with him, and you know, he would be a top of the order guy. Like, he's batting second for us, you know, moving forward type thing. Yeah. That would be great. But again, gotta opt out before we can even get into this conversation.
That's the thing, right? Like, that's what the article is basically talking about. Like, there are guys on this list that are going to be free agents, and guys who could be free agents and who would be interested. We've obviously always been interested, so that would obviously be someone that we're interested in. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this next guy, because I already know that I already see the comments coming in on this next guy saying it's not going to happen, it's not realistic. He is on the thumbnail of this YouTube live stream, guys. It's Juan Soto. But we were listed in that article by Jim Bowden from The Athletic that the Blue Jays are a top team for Juan Soto. This is not news. We knew this, right? Why? Because we're in on Shohei Ohtani. We are looking to spend a lot of money. We have a track record of going in on all these big guys. It is going to be one of the New York teams. I would bet my life it's going to be one of the New York teams. Absolutely. But if there were to be a runner-up, Toronto or San Fran for me would be the next runner-up teams.
Yeah, listen, we're going to be in the conversations. We're going to give him something to think about. This one, it does come down to the fact that, like, I think that other people are going to have stronger reasons to come to their organization than the Toronto Blue Jays have. And, you know, if the number is going to be $600 million, well, if we offer $600 million and the New York Yankees and New York Mets also offer $600 million, then there's just no way that he comes here. Like, if they're offering $600, we're offering $700 or $750. And then maybe it's like, okay, now I'm starting to think about the Toronto Blue Jays. Like, I really think it's that much of a difference for him anyways. But yes, we are going to be in on it. Is the fit there from a Blue Jays standpoint? Of course it is.
You fit anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I can make the argument that the fit's there for the fucking White Sox, you know? Like, he's just that good at baseball. So, of course, we're going to be in on it. The likelihood that he actually comes here is very minimal. Yeah,
like, I think we have to accept the reality that we are going to talk to his agency, which is, I think it's Scott Boras. We are going to talk to Scott Boras this offseason about Juan Soto. That will happen. Will it happen where he puts pen to paper and goes to the Blue Jays? Very likely not. Like, I'd bet the house that this guy is not going to be a Toronto Blue Jay next season. It will be a New York team. So just throwing it out there, guys. I know it's a very sensitive topic nowadays. After that Ohtani thing really hurt everybody. Like, we don't want to believe in anything anymore.
No, it did change the whole way that you look about, you know, you think about this Toronto Blue Jays organization, their front office, and especially the acquisition of free agents. Like, that really was the dagger for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think what's going to send people over the edge, and like this is actually, like, this would kill a generation, I think, of Blue Jays fans, like, forever. Is if Guerrero doesn't sign back. Like, that would be like, we lose Ohtani and then you don't get that guy. Like, that's like, oh my God. Like, it's unforgivable.
I don't think I'm going to a single Jays game next year, unless it's for like paid work or something.
If that happened, yes.
If that happened,
yeah,
yes.
that would be like a slap in the face. Like you can't possibly do that to me. So
yeah.
I know we're all hurt, and I know that we don't want to believe it, and you probably shouldn't believe it at least right now. But the Blue Jays and Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro, they're going to call. They're going to try. I don't think they're going to be successful.
Not at all, guys. So those were all the free agents that Jim Bowden linked in his Athletic article recently about possible landing spots that these free agents could go and like all the Blue Jays that were mentioned there. That was all the guys. Like, and that was it. They didn't talk about anyone else. He actually did mention Anthony Santander, which we did make a video yesterday talking about. So if you haven't seen that one, go check it out, guys. So those are all the guys so far. Hopefully, in the next little bit, we can get some concrete kind of rumor, but I highly anticipate that those rumors are going to be coming after the World Series.
Surprised that he didn't bring up Teoscar Hernandez on.
Yeah, he didn't link the Blue Jays to Teoscar Hernandez at all, which I do find shocking.
Yeah,
like that would be a perfect kind of suitor.
I would argue that out of all of those like elite tier outfielders, like just because we have the history with Teo and because we know that he likes Guerrero and he likes all that stuff, like it does feel like that's the closest one to us. That's one of those ones as well, though, where I think it would go a long way to have Vladdy signed long term. Because if you're Teoscar Hernandez, and you're on the LA Dodgers right now with all these elites, you want to know that your buddy and the only other elite player on this goddamn roster is going to be with you, and that there's at least some direction here, right? So I think that would go a long way in helping bring him back if they wanted to go in that direction, which I think they should, because Teo's pretty damn good at baseball.
He is, guys. Speaking of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., we wouldn't be a Blue Jays podcast if we didn't at least mention this. Let's all give a big standing ovation for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. winning the AL Comeback Player of the Year award. Let's go. Which, honestly, I'm shocked.
I was pretty surprised.
I'm shocked, actually, that he won this, but I actually wasn't even thinking about it. I think that's why I was mostly shocked, because I was like, where is he coming back from? Being mid?
Right.
Or being a little bit better than mid? Like, it's not like he was hurt or he had an abysmal year in 2023. Like, his year in 2023 was like a good year for Gleyber Torres.
Yeah,
you know? No. And then he obviously puts up like MVP type kind of numbers in 2024, but I guess nobody else really wanted.
I would have to look around the league and just look at like everybody that I guess came back from injury and like really struggled. Yeah. But it is kind of wild because like the 2023 season, it doesn't feel like you're coming back from anything really. Like you still had a good year, not a great year. Like, just, it was a good, just kind of solid.
Good year. Again, Gleyber Torres would be. I'd be happy. I'd be so happy.
Would be pretty happy with that. Yeah. I mean, if we signed Gleyber Torres and he gave me that in those numbers, I'd be like, all right, we're feeling pretty good about this right now. Obviously, 2024 was a lot better, but regardless, gets himself another just little notch on the Baseball Reference, the resume, everything like that. Very curious to see where he finishes in all of the MVP voting in general. Obviously, not going to be number one. Probably not going to be number two, number three, or I
think we broke this down. I think he was going to be like top 8 or something.
8 or 9, I think, is what we went through, because you have Soto and you got Judge and you got Bobby Witt. Yeah. And then you had I think Yordan Alvarez,
Tariq Skubal.
Yeah. There was actually a pretty long J-Ram. There was a decently long list of pretty good players in there. So he should be in the top 10.
Right.
Hopefully. But either way, a solid year from Guerrero overall. All the more reason to lock him down to that extension, as we have been screaming about for what feels like years now.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more award here, guys. Actually, I actually didn't even know this was an award, but Dalton Varsho won the 2 Fielding Bible Awards, and the Multi-Position Award and Defensive Player of the Year. I don't know where this comes from, but hell yeah, Dalton Varsho.
Well, apparently the Fielding Bible, that's where it comes. I wasn't aware of that just being as a thing, but I do believe that this is going to be a couple of many defensive awards. There could be some other ones that pop up that you've never heard of that Dalton Varsho is winning because he's that good. Yeah. He's going to be in the mix for all of these things. Should be a Gold Glover. He should be in the conversation for a Platinum Glove as well.
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you're winning Defensive Player of the Year and you don't win a Platinum Glove, because the reason why he won it, guys, I mean, we all know the numbers, but he is the best defender in baseball other than the catcher on San Fran. He's the only guy with a higher fielding run value, but that's obviously very different. It's very different positions. So he's literally the best player in the field in the MLB last year. So, like, platinum glove, I'm expecting. I would accept nothing less, to be honest. So
Wild that this is what he has become now, eh?
He's just a glove.
This is like just one of, if not the best, outfielders in baseball.
Which is good. You need that. And like, I know Dalton Varsho is one of those like very contradicting guys because from the glove and the bat, they're very, very different, as you can clearly see in this graph here on Baseball Savant. But look, I know we're all expecting more because of the trade. That's why. Like, if you just like woke up with a Dalton Varsho on your team, you'd be like, hell yeah.
Well, but
this guy's great.
I think that's unfair though, because I think we're also expecting more because when we traded for him, he was doing more offensively speaking, anyways.
Right. He had 27 homers, 745 OPS.
Like those numbers, it's like, oh shit, dude. Like you're kind of in the MVP conversation if you're also a platinum glover at that point.
Right. And I think I forget who we talked to earlier in the season. Maybe it was Ben Nicholson Smith or Shai Davidi, but we talked to him about Dalton Varsho. I think it was Ben, and we were like, dude, like if Varsho just did like that 2022 with what he's doing now with the glove, he's putting up a 6 WAR, 6.5, like a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And now it's like you're so worth it, dude.
Dude, like if he even sniffs close to 30 bombs, of course, like you get that with the defense, like now there's zero complaints about your game whatsoever. Obviously, like there are still some holes to be poked in Varsho's game, just with the bat, but. You win yourself a gold glove, maybe even a platinum glove, and all these other awards, like, I cannot complain that much.
No, not at all, guys. Real quick, I think that's all the Blue Jays news, but real quick, guys, we got to talk about the World Series a little bit. I mean, that's the only thing kind of going on in baseball. It starts today. Before we do, though, let's give a quick shout-out to the sponsor.
Time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is in collaboration with iGaming Ontario, so you must be 19 years or older to participate. You can also scan the QR code to make your account today. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Shout out to Betway, everybody, for being absolutely phenomenal. It is the place to go if you have any interest in sports betting. Biggest stage in baseball starts this evening with the biggest stars. Feels like the National League All-Star team going up against the American League All-Star team. There is countless MVPs. So many home runs have been hit by the various players that we are going to see this evening battling against one another. Walk me through what it is that you're thinking right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking I made a little Betway feed clip, guys. Go check it out on our social medias if you haven't already. But I'm thinking I am leaning Dodgers today. And this one is a very boosted line. It's 2.4 multiplier for the Dodgers to win by 2. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. So I really do think that this score could be very lopsided. And I do think the Dodgers have the advantage today. They have the momentum. They're at home. They might be looking to pounce on these Yankees right away. I'm going for it. It's a risky one, of course. That's why it's a 2.4 multiplier. But I'm going Dodgers to win the run line.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if you guys are looking for a bit of a safer bet, I actually put one down.
Was it this one here?
It was over 8.5 total runs in the game. I think did I do 8.5 or 7.5? 8.5, I believe it was.
Yeah, 7.5 would be like really, that'd
really
be
low.
That's really safe. But.
So I think I did over 8.5, which is a bit safer. Obviously, the multiplier is a little bit less, but like. I'm riding with you. I don't think I can choose a winner here. I know you're going Dodgers. I personally don't think I can choose a winner. I just don't feel comfortable with that. But I am fully comfortable in the fact that runs are going to score. People are going to hit bombs. There's going to be a lot of runs coming in. So over 8.5 feels like almost a lock to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that every game should be over 8 runs. It's going to be that type of series. It's going to be a lot of fun. And guys, if you want to watch along with us, if you're OGs here, you know that we do the live play-by-plays on Blue Jays Today when we watch the Blue Jays games. But we do all MLB games on our other channel, Bad for Baseball. Check it out. Search it up on YouTube, Bad for Baseball. It's a little black diamond logo. We're going to be going live tonight at 8 o'clock. So be there. We got some bets going. Maybe we'll have a couple drinks. Who knows? And it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. We're riding with it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope to see you all there.
Yeah, should be a good game nonetheless. Folks, let us know in the comments down below. Who do you think the Toronto Blue Jays are going to sign this offseason? Are any of the players that we talked about today reasonable? Is there a reality we get them, or is this just going to be another busted off season where we're tracking a plane and nobody is on it? Let us know in the comments down below, folks.
Yeah, guys, $3 a month to become a Patreon member. I believe I got you all up here. Shout out and thank you to all of our Patreon members. I actually don't have it, but if you guys are a Patreon member or a YouTube member, you guys are absolutely awesome. We got Daniela Castro in here as well. She is a YouTube member with a little foam finger. So yeah, it's just $4 a month to become a YouTube member. Guys, thank you so much for watching.
And as always,
go Jays, go!